All right, guys, so this is our next project for the day. I just put out a little short on that crane that we'll be doing a little video on later, but this is our project for now. It's just a shank on a V-bottom bucket. It's pretty standard operating procedure to say. Sometimes the customers will put on a nose piece instead of the whole thing, especially when this is embedded inside the thickness of this metal. This bottom plate, but here we see that this attached on the top, so it should be an easy wax off, wax on kind of thing as a Karate Kid. And so as we can see here, it's only a few passes. It only looks to be maybe, oh man, maybe like a strong 3/8 of a weld sticking past the outside of this surface, so not too much welding. You notice here this does have a bevel in it already, so that is a lot of welding in itself. So we'll just gouge it off, weld it back on. Kind of straightforward repair, not too challenging. I say that now, but we'll see. One of the things that I was thinking about doing is possibly maybe just stick welding this just for kicks, just to see if I still got it or not. I'll probably be using 532 welding rod on this, 532 7018s. And we'll go from there. The gouging, I'm going to be using a plasma cutter to gouge. Again, there's some of you have known that I'm not too fond of plasma gouging, but it works, right? So a lot nicer in the sense that it's just an arc and it goes. I like the carbon gouging a lot better because it's more precise to me in a sense, because as you make an arc, you can control the arc a little bit better, whereas the plasma gouge is just a long flame or arc, as it is really. It's a long electric arc. So let's give that a shot. First, try and gouge this guy off, wash this all off. I'm gonna try and do some filming with my camera to see if you guys can get some footage on that and get an up close view of it. So enough jibber jabber, let's get to cutting. was enough. It looked like it was. I could start seeing some orange. You know, it's kind of hard to explain, but once you start seeing the separation line, you can start seeing the dirt. It glows orange, and so I'm thinking that that was what I saw, an orange line. So we're gonna have to give it a couple of love taps with that hammer there and see if it comes off. I think I was close. What to see? All right, let's knock this baby off. I take it that was a yes. It did come off. Okay, well, I did chew into the material a little bit here and there. That's all right. I'll smooth this out. That wasn't so bad. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, let me clean that up. Okay, so you can see here I did gouge a little bit too deep in this one spot here, and some there, and some there, and that's partially why I like using the carbon rods. It's a narrower rod, of course, because it's only 1/4 inch diameter, and then I can see exactly where I'm carving. Sometimes with the plasma gouger, it's hard to see the bottom side of the arc to say. It's hard to explain, but I feel I have more control with the carbon rod over a plasma. But this worked great. I mean, look at that. It came out pretty quick. A couple passes and it's off. I think I may have been able to pull off a single pass with the carbon, because I think I've been able to take off maybe like a 7/8 inch weld in one pass, just one big gouge in one shot. But you know, it's because I've been doing that for a long time. So this is just as handy, and it works great. So yeah, a little more to fill, but you won't say anything, I won't say anything. So let me go ahead and grind this up and clean it up, make it look a little bit more professional, or profesh, as the new kids say. And we can start cleaning that adapter and get the paint off it and glue it back on there. All right. All right, now that I ground that up, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a small hairline crack right in this area right here, and another one over here. So I'm glad we cleaned it up nicely, and now we can tell where there's some additional concerns. So go ahead and use the plasma gouger to kind of V that out, both sides, and then I'll go ahead and just fill some of this up. And maybe this one not so much, but this one is a little bit deeper. It's about 3/32, maybe 1/8 inch deep. So let me gouge that out. Hopefully it's not too terribly deep, but we'll have to see. All right. I think I missed. All right, two things. Battery died while I was filming this, so you can see I gouged that out. And the second thing is, don't have lunch in the middle of this, because I don't want to work anymore. Ate too much. Had some chicken tortilla soup. That was really good. Anyway, back to this. I gouged it out here, so that's about as good as I can get it. One thing I don't like with the plasma gouging, and I couldn't see the line. I couldn't follow the line at all. Now I know what I could have done is possibly, scored it with the grinder or something, so I could see where I was going, but the arc is so long you really can't see. So that's another one of those things that you have to get used to if you're going to be doing or working with a plasma gouger. I started going a little crooked there. So next step is to go ahead and fill that up. I'll fill that up with stick welding. I didn't see on the inside just yet if it was cracked. Most likely it might be cracked. I couldn't really tell because these crack lines are gone, so I may not have made it all the way through. We'll find out when I weld this up. The heat will expose cracks on that side. All right, enough jibber jabbering again. Let me go ahead and clean this up and weld it. All right, so for something like this, I mentioned I was going to use some stick welding. I like using Excalibur's 7018s Lincoln product. These are 1/8" rods for now because I'm going to weld up the inside part of that groove until I get pretty flush. This up here, I may just lightly skim with a 7018. I just don't want to remove, or weld too much that I got to grind so much. So either way, but yeah, I'm going to fill it with 7018. Here we go. Okay, so these are the steps that I did. You may wonder why such big steps. Well, I wanted to keep it as flat as possible, and so it's somewhat flat. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty flat. That way I don't have to grind so much, and even if it's got a little bit of undercut and whatever else, is gonna be fine. So that'll be good. Let me clean this guy up here and see that, and start laying it out for the shank. Okay, so I got that pretty tacked up. Look at the line right in. You can see that line right in there. It's pretty close. So that's good. Whew. That plate's still a little warm. Yeah. It's still cool. Right there. Okay, the heat's transferring in pretty good. Okay, let it set for a few minutes. I think I'll start welding with these guys. This end here, the bottom end there. Lock it in place from twisting side to side, and that way it's held in place, and I can get after it. So let me let it set a few minutes, let it warm up, and then I'll hit it. Okay, so now that that's glued on there somewhat, now I'll be able to weld on the sides with a little more confidence that it's not going to break off. Now, one of the things that presents a challenge for a lot of folks is that sometimes this groove is too deep in there to get any real penetration at the base of the bevel. Now, you can do one of two things. You could either grind this top piece with a grinding wheel to create, I guess, what may be called a J bevel. Don't quite know exactly if that's right or not. That way you can fit a larger diameter rod, or just go to a smaller diameter rod. So in this case, we got 1/8 inch here instead of 5/32. So with the 1/8 inch, I'll be able to put a nice weld pass up this way to create that seal on both sides. Create that seal here and create a landing spot for the 5/32 rod, which will come after that. So same thing, we'll be using the Excaliburs. I don't know if you guys can read them, probably blurry, but we'll pass there, pass the other side, maybe 2 passes, who knows. I'll have to see what it looks like when I get done here. So let me throw down a couple passes, see what we come up with. Oh, it's hitting the camera. Okay, so I don't know how much that camera caught, but if you can see here, it came out pretty flat. And the way I do that, especially on inside corners, I'll do a whip pattern, and a lot of people do not like that. They don't like the thought of a whip pattern when going uphill on an inside corner. People like to just run a stringer, and while that is also good, I don't like how it'll bulge up in the center if you're not careful, right? So then you'll have wagon tracks on each side of the weld that you'll have to grind out. Whereas here, I have no wagon tracks. No wagon tracks at all to have to grind out. So I can just weld right over this immediately. And so there's different schools of thought on this. You know, instructors are gonna tell you this is not good. And you know, they're probably right. But I found a loophole around having to grind your first root pass. Just whip it and it'll be fine. So as long as you can get it flat like that, right? This is pretty smooth, and it is real smooth. So I actually think I'm gonna go ahead and run another pass of 1/8 inch 7018 before I go with the 532. Let me do the other side. Okay, so I got the second pass in there, came out pretty good. And now I mentioned I was gonna go to 532 rods, but these are all I got left, which is terrible. I thought I had more than that. So that stinks. So I think I'm gonna try to go ahead and, oh, don't hit that, ouch, ouch. Try and go ahead and fill in as much as I can with these. One of the things that you'll notice here is that, I guess you really can't notice, but that bevel was shallower here than it is here. So I'm gonna run a couple stringers and stop in steps so that they can all come out at the same time. And then I'll just use the 1/8 inch for finishing it off. And I really wish I had more. God, can't believe I didn't think of that. Oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so let me go ahead and, actually, I'm gonna do the 1/8 inch first so I can control the puddle a little bit better. I'll weld from here to here or so, and kind of stack it up so that they're all the same level out from the outside face of this. Just see what I mean. All right. Okay, so as you saw some of that, hopefully it came out all right, the high-speed video. I came out and I got it pretty close to flush, as close as I could to flush with it, both sides. But this is in the shadow. But as I mentioned, I ran out of 532 rods, except for just a small handful. So I think I'll have enough to, let me see, I think I have enough to run 1, 2, 3, about 4 passes each side, the final cap passes on each side, and that should be it. So I think we're looking okay. And then I'll finish up here. Actually, I'll do this bottom first to kind of go ahead and finish that out, and then get done. We're almost there. Almost there. All right, guys, so that looks like it'll do it. I don't know if you can see. All right, pretty good. So you can tell that one's really like, oops, sorry, there you are. That one is like 3/4 of an inch out as far as weld, and this one, this side, I'd say maybe 5/8, 7/16 ish. I got some weld gauges over there, but I don't want to get them. But that'll do it. A lot of welding. I wonder why I did it in stick welding. Why not? Keep up the practice, right? And oh, one of the things I was going to mention earlier about doing overhead. A lot of people have difficulty with welding overhead. Sometimes they figure, you know, while they're welding overhead, they have a lot of stuff dropping on you, or it sticks a lot, and people tend to turn the amperage down. And actually, you need to turn the amperage up. You need to turn the amperage up, that way it creates the arc and you can get real close to the parent metal and maintain a real close arc, while that way you can direct the weld puddle as you want. And so it's kind of backwards thinking. When you're welding overhead, turn it up 1 or 2 amps and it should work. Also, if you can change your mind over into thinking that you're welding flat, you know, like welding a puddle flat, however you do it, right? Imagine it just upside down and you should have some success. Just keep a close arc. Okay, so anyway, that looks like it'll do it for us. Now I gotta clean up all this mess because I was working on 3 buckets overall throughout the week, not the weekend. It's the weekend. Today's a Friday. So thank you very much for the follow. Hope you guys learned something from it, and I guess we'll catch you guys on the next one.